Alright, today we're talking about what I like and what I dislike about the Sony RX1, which is my new everyday carry camera. And these things are basically my stuff. I don't share these kind of opinions with others, but some of them you might have seen them in different videos. Nonetheless, let's get to the video because it might be a long one. So let's start with the good stuff. Good stuff meaning what things I like about this camera. And to start with it, the sensor is a full frame 24 megapixel sensor made by Sony. It's the same sensor in the A7 II. And it's a great sensor. The colors are not like the ones in the new sensors, but it's still an amazing sensor, and the image quality, it's super nice. I'm probably gonna throw a few photos here and there while I'm talking about this camera. So I really like this sensor because it's a full frame sensor in such a small little camera that for me does it all for everyday carry. Now the second thing, or the next thing that I like, is the fact that though it's a small camera, it does have all kinds of buttons and dials, and it has two dials, one here and one here. One, you can set it up for changing the shutter speed. The other one, you can use it as a D-pad, or you can use it to change exposure compensation and a lot of stuff that you can set up too. Also, it does have 6, 7 buttons. Not all of them are customizable. This is a custom button right here, but these ones you can pretty much customize, including the center button right here that is used for tracking focus, and it does track focus a little bit better than other cameras the same age as this one, but it's not amazing, and we're gonna get to that. So the sensor is the first one, the dials is the second. The third one, and I put them on the paper if you see me looking down, is because there are a lot of things that I want to talk about. The third one is the fact that Sony decided to put 3 banks or memory slots or whatever you want to call them, so you can set up the camera the way you want depending on the situation that you're shooting. And these ones are very useful, especially if you're going from low light to natural light to flash to landscape to street photography and so on and so forth. So you can set this up and then recall the memory on these buttons, and the camera will retain the settings most likely, and you can stop dabbling with the menus, which are on the other section. Yeah, so I really like the fact that they put the banks on. Now, probably the main thing about this camera, or the main thing that I love about this camera, is the lens. This is a Zeiss 35mm f2 lens, and it's a sonar lens, if I remember correctly. So the image and the color rendition is beautiful. It does render the autofocus areas perfectly smooth and nice, and it does have a little bit of a, let's say, character or patina or whatever you want to call it on it. The images are coming up a little bit warm, a little bit beautiful, and this kind of complements the sensor, and the fact that this one is attached to the sensor, it makes it even better. So this one basically was built for this sensor, and I really love this lens. It's a lens that you can switch to shoot macro or close up with, and I got some amazing images that we're gonna talk in a different video. Probably one of my best images this year to this date, or maybe last year as well. I really enjoy the way this lens is shooting close up, and this ring right here allows you to switch from 0.3 to infinity, or 0.25 to 0.3 or something like that. So it's a very short close-up distance, around 20 centimeters, which makes it very nice. Well, Now, I know that this camera is not made for shooting videos, but nonetheless, this one has a mic input right here. And this will help you if you want to shoot videos. It shoots 1080p, so it's not that bad. Actually, the video quality, it's pretty decent for, 13 years ago. And you can basically pass by shooting B-roll or stuff that you want to shoot for your family if you are using this camera for that kind of stuff. So it's not bad. And the good thing that is that it has a microphone, so you can put a shotgun right here, and these two are combined, the microphone input and the hot shoe. And these are good things because not all the cameras have a hot shoe, and not where most of the point and shoot don't have a mic input. So this one is a little bit on the pro side if you want. They added both of them, so you can use it in combination with a shotgun right here, or if you want a lavalier mic or something, and do some video work if you need it on the go, or if that's the only camera that this is the only camera that you have. The last thing that I want to talk about is the fact that and these are nitpicky stuff. I love the fact that it does have a threaded shutter button, so you can use a soft shutter on top. This helps you autofocus faster, or not necessarily faster, but more secure than this little shutter button that it's very recessed, and it's tough to half press it and control your autofocus. And another thing about that is the fact that they put a scroll wheel right here that you can use it for autofocus, or autofocus and manual focus combined, which is DMF, or the manual focus. So these things are pretty nice. And this camera is not a Sony per se because of this, though it has the branding on it. Not anymore. And I didn't talk about it, but I put a skin on this camera from Maya Combo. That's what the company is. I don't really like the skin or the way it came, and I think the product cut wasn't perfect, but it's still a protective skin that can help you keep the camera the way it was when you bought it, and mine looked pretty good. I forgot to say that, and this is not a downside necessarily, it's a fact that, happens. It's a thing that happens to many of the old cameras. The internal battery on this one, the one that keeps the timing and the memory and all that stuff, mine is almost dead. So every time, if I'm not turning on the camera every day, I need to reset the time and all that. I right now just press cancel and go if I need to. If I have time, I'm gonna reset it and have the time the way it should be. But other than that, I'm not gonna set the area and all that every time. It's the battery inside. It's probably serviceable. I probably I thought it's an earthquake. It's probably serviceable, so I can probably go and ask the Sony guys to change the battery. It's gonna probably cost a little bit, but it doesn't bother me much. Now, this is pretty much what I like about this camera, and there are probably other things too. I really like the screen on the back. It's not a big resolution. I think it's over 1 million dots, but it's still a good screen. The bad stuff, and we're here now, so let's talk about it. It's the fact that Sony used to use a coating. I'm not sure if you can see it right here, but the screen starts to peel, the coating on the screen starts to peel a little bit, just like the old MacBooks, if you remember, and it looks ugly. It doesn't affect the image on the screen or the image quality of the screen, but it's kind of ugly, and I kind of hate it. I would hope that this one, it was just a screen protector, so I can peel it off and put a glass screen protector or something like that, but I'm not sure if it is, and I don't want to ruin the screen by trying to peel it off or something like that. I'm going to do more research and let you know if I can find something about it. Another downside about this camera is the obvious one. It doesn't have an EVF, not an internal EVF per se. It only has a flash, and this is a good stuff, and it might be noticed as a good stuff in the section, but this the fact that it doesn't have an EVF and this flash, it's not very helpful. And because we're here, I'm gonna tell you that I kind of hate the fact that the flash doesn't bounce back, as in doesn't flip back, so you can bounce it off the ceiling or a wall or whatever and not shoot it straight into people's faces. And I think I mentioned this in the previous video. This one just stays straight and it goes down and folds back in the camera. I don't really like that, but the fact that it doesn't have an EVF, it's a bad thing for me, and I had to go with this one. This is the Sony EVF for RX1 and RX100 series. It's a super pricey piece of gear, costs around $500, I think. You can find it used for 35 to 600 because it's discontinued now and nobody has them. So this is a pretty expensive piece of gear that if you are like me and like an EVF on your camera, this will definitely help you achieve that. And it goes on the hot shoe, which means it blocks the flash or the microphone option on the hot shoe, and it's not small at all. It does flip up, which is good to basically shoot down, looking down in the EVF, but it's not small at all. You can tell that it makes the camera a little bit more bulkier, a little more bigger, harder to pocket, though it's not a pocketable camera, but now it's even harder to put it somewhere because of this little thing. And it's a plastic stuff, it's not metal. Probably the hot shoe has a metal foot. Yes, it does have a metal foot, so it is pretty sturdy, but still plastic, and if you bump into it or anything, you're probably gonna ruin either the camera or the EVF. So the fact that it doesn't have an internal EVF kind of bothers me. I'm glad that I got this one. Another thing that I hate about it is the fact that it doesn't have IBIS, any kind of image in body stabilization, which I don't know. Maybe it's me getting used to all these beautiful cameras that we have these days, and I think this one as a point and shoot, it would be nice to have at least 3-axis image stabilization. I'm not sure at that time. I think the A7 II didn't have. I used to have that camera, but I don't remember. But I know that the APS-C cameras, some of them did have, so I'm not sure if they could just cram it in or not, but it doesn't have it, and that bothers me, especially in low light when you have to crank that ISO instead of keeping it low and shoot at lower shutter speeds. You can do that with this one. I was able to shoot shots down to 1/10 of a second if I'm staying still or if I'm sitting. But if I'm standing, if I'm, let's say, outside, it's gonna be tough to go probably lower than 1/25 of a second, something like that. Another downside is obviously the battery life, and before I'm talking about that, I'm gonna tell you that now it's on the tripod, which tripod blocks the battery life. It blocks the battery door, and you won't be able to open it if you put a Arca Swiss plate on it, maybe a small one, I'm not sure, but the ones that I have, all of them are blocking the door, and that's another downside. But most of these little cameras have this problem, and I kind of got used to it and found all kinds of ways to play with this issue. Now, the battery life, it's not amazing. You will probably need 2 or 3 of these batteries, and I bought 2 other batteries or 3 other batteries. I showed you last time in the accessories. This matte BC that come in this case right here. So now I have 3 batteries. I think 3 batteries will hold me a full day of shooting on the streets, which is all I need. And yeah, it's around 150 shots, 200 shots maybe, if you are careful and turn off the camera after every shot. It depends on your type of shooting. For me, it's probably around 150, 180 shots. So the battery life, it's crappy. There is no USB-C on this camera to be able to charge, but you are able to charge the camera on the go using the micro USB, or the USB-B micro, something like that. The small one before the USB-C. You will be able to charge it through a power bank, and that's good, or in the car or wherever you are, right into the port, so the battery is going to charge in the camera. I am not sure if you can shoot with the camera while you're charging. I didn't try that, so I'll do a test and I'll keep you updated. That's it. No USB-C, so no power delivery, literally like the new power delivery for this camera. There is no grip on the camera, but that doesn't bother me much. That's what I said. I'm not gonna get a grip immediately. I'll wait and see how good I feel about this camera on the streets, holding it for 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever hours. But it only has a piece of leather right here, this faux leather that the whole camera is wrapped in, and it is pretty grippy. Mine, it's a little bit, like I said, the camera is in good condition, so it's not very worn out. If it's worn out, it might be a little bit slippery, but for me, it seems pretty grippy, so I'm gonna try it and see how it works. Other than this small, let's say, thumb grip notch right here that holds the video button on it, there is nothing to basically grip the camera and hold it tight in your hand. I have big hands or medium hands, whatever. It doesn't feel very, very bad, and the camera being not extremely heavy, it helps. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, obviously the menus, the old menus on Sony are atrocious for a lot of people. But to be fairly honest, and I am, I kind of like the fact that I can scroll through the menus without having to go down on like a column of categories. This one, you just scroll all through them and you can see every time what menus are in each category until you get used to it. They're still atrocious and I still hate them, but they're not that bad. I'll probably get used to it or re-used to it, because like I said, I used to shoot the A7 II and A7 III and they had this kind of menu. The other thing that I hate is the fact that this camera, though it does have clear image zoom, which basically means you can zoom a little bit in the camera, I didn't find a way, and please, if you know how to, put it in the comments down below. I didn't find a way to assign the clear zoom button to any of these buttons to be able to punch in if I need to. As far as I know, you won't be able to punch in on this camera to a Super 35 or like a APS-C sensor, which is weird because it's a full frame sensor and they can crop in the middle and have that Super 35 like most of the full frame cameras. But I'm not sure if this can do. I kind of tried to find out. People say that you won't be able to do that, but I saw that clear image zoom and I'm hoping that that's what helps with the basically cropping into the sensor and give you a little bit more reach, let's say a 50mm out of this 35 beautiful lens. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And obviously what I really love the most about this camera, and this is the last thing, is the fact that image quality is so good, and that is due to the fact that this camera holds one of the probably most iconic lens, is a 35mm f2 from Zeiss, and this lens is built for this camera. It's built solid, it's built good. You have an aperture ring, it has a macro switch ring or close-up switch ring, but it's so good, and the image quality and the rendition of colors and the autofocus areas, the autofocus areas, it's pretty good. I love the bokeh, and like I said, we're going to talk about the image quality in another video. Actually, I promise you that this video is going to be outside, and I didn't forget that, but I will show you a few snippets from how is outside right now. Very windy, and the rain is pouring down in the last 3-4 days, so I can't do much about that. I would love to go out and shoot in the rain, but the wind bothers me a lot, and I can't literally stay in the rain if the wind blows into my face with water and all that. If it rains, I don't mind, but the wind, it's a little bit too much for me. That's it, guys. If you didn't watch the previous videos, I'm gonna put it somewhere, and I think this one is the one that you should watch next, and I will see you soon.